It's kind of an annual tradition at this point. There's a few things we love to complain about once a year. And this is kind of one of those things we bring up once every year, and we act like we hadn't talked about it in a long, long time. But it needs to be talked about. Did you see the opening day photos in Oakland?
I did. I actually talked about it a little bit on Friday.
Did you?
They had more people in the parking lot than they did in the stadium.
Yeah. I don't know if they had more than 200 people in that stadium.
Yeah, opening day was actually bigger than it's been the last couple of games. So it's gone down from where it was on opening day. But there were thousands of people in the parking lot who were playing trumpets and honking their horns, chanting "Sell the team," like massive
protests.
Massive protests outside the ballpark, and people who are saying, "We're here, we want to support the club. We're not buying tickets and giving the owner any money."
Yeah,
double birds to him.
Gotcha.
And so I think they're going to do that all year. On that note, have you seen what the A's have been doing the last 24 hours?
No.
So this has not been confirmed, but there are rumors and swirls down in Oakland by A's fans that evidently there's a bar in Oakland that had a big rally to have the owner sell the team rally, and that bar handed out these like the old Live Strong bands.
Okay.
Handed out these bands that I think it's called the Last Dive Bar or something like that. Multiple players for the A's were wearing these during a game, and they have been sent down to AAA. And A's fans are now like 100% certain that these dudes were sent down to AAA because they were wearing a band from a bar that had a sell the team rally in it.
Well, there's no other explanation why you would put guys in AAA 2 games into your year.
Doesn't make any, and they're the A's. They're one of the worst teams in baseball,
Yes.
and they're young guys. So there's legitimately no argument for it, and it's like the only thing that makes sense. And that sums everything up down in Oakland.
Do you think you'd be a petty owner? Do you ever think about this? My daughter asked me randomly. She looked up how much Disney made on Friday. And she was like, wow, Disney made $205 billion. And she goes, Dad, what would you do with $205 billion? And I go, I'd buy the Blazers, and I'd buy the entire area. And then I'd bring a WNBA team here.
Yep.
I'd bring an NHL team here.
Let's go.
And I would do everything in my power to get a statue of me.
Yes.
In my city.
I think you deserve. If you do all that, you deserve a statue.
You deserve a statue.
I'm telling you right now, I'd be on the same sleep schedule that I currently am as an owner trying to get a championship. He'd be like, what time do you go to bed? 11. What time do you wake up every day? 4.
4 a.m.
Sounds problematic. It absolutely is.
I mean, I'm sure you would be a little petty from time to time, but if you're a competitive person, being John Fisher does not compute in my brain.
I just don't.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, that's my thing is like, you're rich. Okay, cool. You're a rich guy. You buy this because it's these guys look at it like it's a sports car.
Yes.
Hey, I have this thing too. I have so much money. I have this thing.
It's a revenue stream for him.
Like the Chiefs. We don't trash the Chiefs. The Chiefs win Super Bowls, right?
I got 3 of them.
How do you get D's and F's on player surveys? You've won the Super Bowl. Your players have given you everything you could ask for. You can't give them their own bathroom stalls. It's egregious how some of these owners are, and I saw that photo, and I'm glad you talked about it on Friday, but I wanted to bring it up because I don't get it, and I don't come from money. I don't have any money. Yeah. I'm going to be a broke bitch my whole life, but I just don't understand these uber-rich people. They're competitive in what they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't be as rich as they are.
That's the problem with some of them. Like, if we're just using Oakland as an example, he's not competitive, and he inherited his money.
Okay, the inheritance
He's a trust fund baby.
Okay, you're right.
Like, I think
fair.
this is the difference between people who generate their own wealth.
Like Mark Cuban generated his own wealth.
Work hard, are smart, ahead of the curve. You make your money. You buy a team. How is Mark Cuban as an owner? He's super aggressive. He cares about winning. He's sitting courtside. He's screaming.
Was.
What? Well, sure. He still kind of is, but he's got this weird
situation.
Business deal where he controls it but doesn't own it. It's a whole thing. But I think the people who earn their organization that they own are that way. The people who inherit it largely are the cheap bastards who don't know how to work hard. They've never had to do anything in their lives. They've been handed everything they've ever been given. Mm-hmm. Like Fisher is just a little gap baby whose parents are rich, and he was handed the money, and he bought the A's, and he just holds on to them because it makes him a lot of money. He's one of the worst owners in all of sports, which is why we also need a new owner in Portland, because she's never earned a penny in her life.
It does make me side with the Yankees. They'd be like, revenue sharing? What are we doing with
Yes.
Why? Why are we giving that person anything?
My hardest standing take in all of sports, and I firmly believe this. It'll never happen, but I firmly believe it. Professional sports would be 50 times better if you gave other owners and the commissioners unilateral support to kick owners out.
Well, that's my thing is I was going to ask you that. How as a league, and I think baseball, they're gearing up to maybe have a good year. I know us three, I know your Dodgers and Giants squared off yesterday. I know us three are excited about it, to follow our teams, to kind of follow the season, have something in the summertime along with the Olympics.
That's great, man.
I will never get it. You have this in the NBA too, and you probably have this a couple guys in the NFL that I'm top of my head. I just don't get how leagues see those situations and say, no, like, you're rich, right? You have the money, you can own it, you can buy it. But when you get it to that point, you're being negligent.
Yes.
And you're ruining your reputation as a league. You're embarrassing an entire city.
Yes.
And I just don't understand why there's not more Donald Sterling, get the hell out of my league situations in pro sports. Just because you can buy the team, to me, does not constitute your ability to run it completely into the ground and show zero care about how good or competitive. You're going to strike out some years.
Of course.
Some picks won't work. I understand teams go through lulls. There are a lot of teams. The Blazers are going through this. But, like, the just continued beatdown of we will suck and we will largely be one of the worst things to exist in pro sports. I saw the Coyotes in their college arena.
Yeah.
Dirt, I don't know if they had more than 400 people at their game, and I'm like, the Winterhawks get that on a on like a Tuesday if they have a big game, and Seattle's in town or something. They will get that many people. They'll get more than that many people. And it's like, that's an NHL team. How does the NHL not step in and say, no, you can own a team, but there is a bare minimum requirement of caring in a world where we don't hold any rich people accountable for anything.
Yes.
Can leagues just please do that? Can you just say, no, this is awful for everybody involved?
Also, if you open it up to the competent owners within your league, I feel like you would get unanimous support. Maybe not unanimous, but majority support.
Yes.
People saying, like, dude, how many Major League Baseball teams are there? 30? 31?
There are 30 right
30.
now.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking, that's like, there's only 30. So if you're that bad and you've been that bad for that long, that you just, okay, there's one. Now we're down to 29. And then count off the other 5 teams who are incompetent, who have been incompetent for the last decade. Now we're down to 25 teams with a pulse. There's going to be 10 that just are up and down every year, so you're going to have some down years. Like, you're down to like 15 relevant and interesting teams immediately half your league is eliminated.
Yeah.
Because some of the owners just don't care about winning or putting a good product on the field.
You know what's funny about this is when we punish these guys, these rich bastards, do you know when we do it? Let's just use the NBA since we have an NBA team here. Do you know when we punish NBA owners? Have you thought about this?
When they're racist or sexist?
Well, obviously.
Hello, Donald Sterling.
I meant in a different way.
You can sit with them. You can do anything you want with them.
I was Donald Sterling's right arm. What?
Excuse me?
I mean, I used my right hand. I mean, I'm his right-hand man. No, I meant in a different way, not kicking them out of ownership. Do you know when we penalize them as owners?
I don't know.
In the NBA.
I don't know.
When they spend money and they're too good. Hey, here's a luxury tax.
Yeah.
You want to keep getting talent and winning? It comes with a price. So why don't we reverse that? Why don't we tax these idiots if they're bad after like 2 years? Like, why are the Oakland A's, the Pittsburgh Pirates, I'll throw Cincinnati in this, and like I don't know what those seasons are going to be. I'm just using teams that have largely sucked most of my adult life.
Pittsburgh might be good this year, but they've been in a perpetual tank for basically 25 years.
They'll be good, and then guess what?
Yeah.
Jason Kendall and Andrew McCutcheon will go out the door, and they'll be good somewhere else. But my point is, why do we not take those teams and say, I'm sorry, you've gone past our 220-game threshold of being absolute ass. You've been taxed $50 million. Because I bet you if you did the opposite of the luxury tax in the NBA for bad teams, I bet you they'd start to care a little more and maybe invest just a tiny bit of that scratch into making that organization good. We should be doing
how truly brilliant then is the English, the European soccer model with relegation.
Oh, I mean, I can't speak to the
Every
financial
sport should
impacts
have
of it, but yeah, there's an aspect of it that I'm like, it should exist. I remember watching Ted Lasso, and he had to explain American sports to the English soccer players, and they're like, wait, you don't have relegation? They're like, no. And you're like, what happens? Season's just over.
Teams openly try and lose so they can get a better draft pick. They purposely try and be worse than they actually are.
And they were just, they did not understand the concept of it in the show. And so, like, in real life, I think it's a thing. I think we need to do a reverse luxury tax. I don't know what you call it. Maybe it's a losing tax. Maybe it's the we suck too much penalty. I don't know what it is, but that's the only way to save this. Otherwise, why are these owners allowed to own teams if this is how they run it?
I mean, there will not top 1,000 fans in an A's game all year.
Nor should they.
Nor should they.
It's not an A's fans problem,
No,
by the way.
God,
I think
no.
we all know that.
God, no, man. That's a passionate baseball city. It has been for a long time. They just happen to have one of the worst owners in all of sports who doesn't care about winning. He doesn't care about spending money, and he's never had to earn anything in his entire life, and he should be booted from Major League Baseball. And I will maintain the opinion. I still think it'll probably end up happening eventually. The A's moving to Vegas with him as the owner will go down as one of the biggest, worst mistakes in the history of professional sports.
What sign do we have at this? David Sampson, a friend of the show, had him on while you were gone. I want to bring him back now that you're here. He called it like 2 weeks after they voted to approve it. He said they're not going to go to Vegas.
Yeah, maybe the whole thing falls apart.
He was on an island with that take, and it's like Vegas has no interest in him or that team.
It's a town of stars.
Yes.
And he doesn't spend to get stars.
Yep.
He's too cheap, and I don't think his DNA is going to change overnight.
Fired up.
Feeling good today.
Happy Tuesday. Needed to get that Oakland A's take off my chest.